All right, this is a recording that should help to explain exactly how the first lab for, I think, in curriculum maps day 1 to go. Students will first be introduced to lab procedures, how to properly clean your hands, how to properly wear a lab coat, goggles, the whole nine. So just to go through a few of the things, I think Mr. Rush went through this, but this is instructional and just to show step by step how it has to be explained. So instructional video. Now, first thing you want to do is have students address Lab 1. Lab 1 is about missing identity. Missing identity discusses, and this is where this is the lab that we print out form in digital form. It'll be accessible to them on laptops. Now, you notice that every lab they do will try to be paired up with at least Raspberry Pi 400 kit, and this is the lab set up normally for one group. There's two scales here, and what will happen is there'll be some collaborative group work. Usually there'll be a document specialist or a note taker, someone who keeps track of time, so a time taker or timekeeper. And then lastly, I like to call it the scientist or engineer of the group. That's the person doing most of the work. So the document person, in conjunction with the note-taking person, the scientist, they will be working hand in hand very closely. The person that is a timekeeper also doubles as administrator to make sure that all trials are completed as well as the lab is completed in the frame amount, a certain amount of time that they're given. This lab shouldn't take no more than 15 minutes, right? So a couple of minutes for explaining it, a couple of minutes for going through it. Now, a few things to understand. These are graduated cylinders, okay? You can see it on the camera there. And there's 5 of them. There are 5 cups, which will be labeled just to keep things simple, A, B, C, D, E, and just, all the way up to E only. So it's 5 cups, 5 graduated cylinders, and a regular digital scale is all they need from one group. There's graphing paper, there's different types of substances, but the students will not know what the substances are. So the first step in this experiment, and the ones for chapter 1, when we start off the school year, is going to be lab missing identity. And it says you will be given the object made from an unknown material. In this case, it's going to be some substance that's clear. And like I said, students will know which one it is because it's going to be different types of substances. And each of these cups will have a particular substance in it. They'll have enough for them to do 3 trials. So the first thing they need to do is measure pretty much how much weight or how much density in grams that the graduated cylinder is. Students will need to make sure they turn on the scale here. All right, so it's on. I think you can see that. And then you zero the scale out, and also make sure it's set to grams. Okay. You zero it out because you don't want no false measurements, right? And make sure it's flush on the table before you start pushing the 0 out button. So it's down to 0 grams. And next step is to measure one of the graduated cylinders. They're going to measure all 5 of them because the students may assume that the cylinders have all the same measurements, and that's not true, right? Different manufacturers, different eras, it's a certain amount there. So they'll measure that first. We'll consider that the data measurement of just the equipment. We call this without, as Mr. Rush has talked about in a previous video. So next, after you measure graduated cylinders, and they'll be labeled so they don't get confused, A, B, C, D, E, and they get all the measurements, they now need to very carefully pour the substances that will be in each of these cups labeled A, B, C, D, and E, and make sure they go into the appropriate cylinders. The reason they're doing this is for consistency, also to take away some of the error in our measurements. So after they measure all of those different graduated cylinders, they're now going to measure each cylinder again with the particular substance involved, whether it's A for A, graduated cylinder A, B for graduated cylinder B, so on and so forth. This will be considered trial 1. Now they're not done, because right after that, the document specialist can also be the person that's making the calculations to find the actual measured value in terms of grams. And here's how we do that. And later on, I'll produce a spreadsheet to try to help students with this as well. So for A, it'll be the amount you measured of just the cylinder itself, subtracted from the amount that was measured uh, here with the substance inside. So to keep this pretty much uniform without negative values, so I don't want students not understanding it, it'll be the amount in the cylinder, right, with the substance in there, the graduated cylinder, subtracted from the amount of grams without the substance involved. So you get an actual measure of what the substance is in terms of density, right? Now, most of the whole purpose is to keep most of these substances clear. We have electrophoresis buffer. We have aluminum potassium, vinegar, might be some oil, might be some water. But this is a video for pretty much administrators and co-teachers to help out and understand how this lab goes, because the lab itself doesn't explain specifically all these steps. So what do they do next? Well, I have in my classroom a basin. They're going to empty all of the substances out of the graduated cylinders, just like scientific method, rinse and repeat, do it again. So they'll do this by first, like I said, taking all of the graduated cylinders, pouring out the substances in each after they measure them all. And they don't need to measure the cylinders again. What they need to do is re-pour in each of the designated graduated cylinders the substances before. There'll be 3 trials. So they'll be doing this rinse repeat again and again. And it's pretty much 3 times altogether. You should have 3 sets of data, and the calculations have to be done over. This is day 1 of the laboratory experiment. The next big thing is after they do that, they can opt to, on paper, because our students who do not like digital devices, use graph paper to construct their own graphs, or my hope is we can use Microsoft Spreadsheet and they can learn to generate graphs using the digital aspects. Hence the need for the Raspberry Pi kits or a laptop so they can access either LibreOffice on the kits, which has a spreadsheet version, or they can access Microsoft online with a regular computer, such as Chrome or whatever the case may be. Or you can even do this in Google Docs. I think it's Google Sheets. So in essence, this should take 15 minutes. It's team-based, it's collaborative group work, and this is just one of the several labs that's going to be utilized in the curriculum mapping. The goal is to every day take my co-teacher, I think Mr. Tillery, and others who will be assisting in this classroom to do videos and replicate this process so when students see it, everybody's on board, knows what to do, and they'll be able to help the student understand this process called the scientific method. So I hope this video comes out okay and it serves as understanding. I'll be sharing it with everybody very soon. So thank you for that.